I think it's still quite likely that Fed will hike policy rate by 175 basis points this year, given the tight labor market in US and also very high inflation. I think it's quite likely that inflation will remain high even in the second half of this year. We are not expecting inflation to come down anytime soon. And that is going to put pressure on Fed to hike policy rate more aggressively than what market is pricing in. So yesterday,
you're still pricing in 50 basis points, are you?
Yes, first rate hike 50 basis point in the March meeting, and for the rest of the year, 125 basis point more.
I mean, there's obviously a very good case to be made that inflation is not just an ongoing problem, but perhaps a little bit harsher than many people are giving it credit for. But as we saw his comments yesterday, Mr. Powell is also taking into account a lot of other factors which would seem to mitigate.
I think at this point of time, I think geopolitical concerns are playing a part. And that's why he might have been a bit more dovish than our expectations. But I think the impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis will be very limited on the US economy. And that's why within the next few months, the focus will come back to the inflation picture, to the growth picture. And that's where I think market will start to pricing in more aggressive rate hikes, and Fed is likely to follow that.
Based on the premise that growth would look good, Suresh, and would be able to withstand these geopolitical headwinds as well as domestic challenges, that's why a lot of the traders, and our own internal analysis is showing the traders are now seeing a 95% possibility of 25 basis points at the start, and that being the consistent pace of rate hikes. So I wonder where your conviction of being contrarian comes from.
I think at this point of time, the impact of the geopolitical tensions on the US economy is very limited. US does not really have much exposure to the Russian economy. And that's why we think even if situation escalates, the growth outlook for the US economy will remain strong. We are still looking for 4% plus GDP growth for the US economy this year. And that's why I think Fed will focus more on the domestic picture, on the inflation picture. And it was very clear from the comments from President Joe Biden in his State of the Union speech that the focus of the government will be on containing the inflation this year. So I think Fed is going to follow that, and they will hike policy rate and also taper their balance sheet.